Welcome to all you Bible studiers out there. Continuing on with the Book of Jasher here. We're in chapter 20 in the Book of Jasher, the history, the supplement to our Bible. We have Abraham and the Philistines here. And it's Abram's 100th year. So on we go, 20 verse 1. And at that time Abraham journeyed from the plain of Mamre, and he went to the land of the Philistines, and he dwelt in Gerar. It was in the 25th year of Abraham being in the land of Canaan, and the 100th year of the life of Abraham, that he came to Gerar in the land of the Philistines. And when they entered the land, he said to Sarah, his wife, Say thou art my sister, to any one that shall ask thee, in order that we may escape the evil of the inhabitants of the land. Now, I'm telling you this, there's more to this. He is not a naive person at all. Abraham was full of wisdom and understanding. Did he not realize what was going to come about? Now, he already lived through this once. So as I study this over the years, I'm thinking to myself, notice how the Lord always ends up showing his power over these occult kings. And here is going to be no different with Abimelech. Okay? So I'm asking the question to you out there, reader. Is this wise man wise enough to realize how this is going to end up with the Lord spanking this king, this Philistine, who has a god, Dagon, a fish god that came up out of the sea and instructed them, and they continued to mate with the fallen angels? And they had the great giant there, obvious, famous great giant, Goliath, and he wasn't the only one, okay? But here, again, he's not just some stupid person. He's a very wise person, and he's very much in league with the Lord. So I'm asking you, is there forethought in all this, that he told her to do this again? Well, that's my theory. I say that he knew that this was going to end up with God Almighty showing his power. But again, that's my opinion. Okay, and so on we go here. You examine it out there. We'll read, you decide. And it certainly escaped the evil of the land. And again, he's not lying, because he is telling the truth that there is a sisterhood here involved in this. It's not a total fabrication. So anyway, on we go. And as Abraham was dwelling in the land of the Philistines, the servants of Abimelech, king of the Philistines, saw that Sarah was exceedingly beautiful, and they asked Abraham concerning her. And he said, She is my sister. Now that's not totally true. She's his wife, but it is partially true. Now we go in 4, and the servants of Abimelech went to Abimelech, saying, A man from the land of Canaan is come to dwell in the land, and he has a sister that is exceeding fair. And Abimelech heard the words of his servants, who praised Sarah to him. And Abimelech sent his officers, and they brought Sarah to the king. And Sarah came to the house of Abimelech, and the king saw that Sarah was beautiful, and she pleased him exceedingly. Okay, and that's another thing. Here you are just grabbing women because they're beautiful. Well, you're going to get a little straightening out here, Abimelech. Anyway, on we go. 7, and he approached her and said to her, What is that man to thee with whom thou didst come to our land? Question mark. And Sarah answered and said, He is my brother, and we came from the land of Canaan to dwell wherever we could find a place. And Abimelech said to Sarah, Behold, my land is before thee. Place thy brother in any part of this land that pleases thee, and it will be our duty to exalt and elevate him above all the people of the land, since he is thy brother. 9, and Abimelech sent for Abraham, and Abraham came to Abimelech. And Abimelech said to Abraham, Because I have given orders.
Behold.
In 10. And Abimelech said to Abram, Behold, I have given orders that thou shalt be honored as thou desirest on account of thy sister Sarah. And Abraham went forth from the king, and the king's present followed him. 12. And at the evening time, before men lie down to rest, the king was sitting upon his throne, and a deep sleep fell upon him, and he lay upon the throne and slept till morning. 13, and he dreamed that an angel of the Lord came to him with a drawn sword in his hand. And the angel stood over Abimelech and wished to slay him with a sword. And the king was terrified in his dream, and said to the angel, In what have I sinned against thee, that thou comest to slay me with thy sword? Question mark. And the angel answered and said to Abimelech, Behold, thou diest on account of the woman which thou didst yesternight bring to thy house. For she is a married woman, the wife of Abraham, who came to thy house. Now therefore return that man his wife, for she is his wife. And shouldest thou not return her, know that thou wilt surely die, thou and all belonging to thee. So you see how that knocks the old king off his high horse right there, doesn't it? 15, and on that night there was a great outcry in the land of the Philistines, and the inhabitants of the land saw the figure of a man standing with a drawn sword in his hand. And he smote the inhabitants of the land with the sword. Yea, he continued to smite them. And the angel of the Lord smote the whole land of the Philistines on that night. And there was a great confusion on that night and on the following morning. See what I mean? And again, they have their human sacrifice, Dagon, their fish god. It's actually the headdress there that you see the Pope and other people, the Bohemian Grove Club hat that they wear. It's the Dagon hat. It's a fish hat. It's old occult attire. Okay, and it's in reverence to them coming up after the flood and giving back to human beings, this occult doctrine and all the other bad things that they taught humanity again. Okay? So Dagon, human sacrifice, mating with angels, warlike customs, hating Israel. All right, 17. And every womb was closed on all their issues, and the hand of the Lord was upon them on account of Sarah, wife of Abraham, who Abimelech had taken. 18. In the morning Abimelech rose with terror and confusion, and with a great dread. He sent and had his servants called in, and he related his dream to them, and the people were greatly afraid. And one man standing amongst the servants of the king answered the king, saying, O sovereign king, restore this woman to her husband, for he is her husband. For the like happened to the king of Egypt when this man came to Egypt. See what I mean? And if this guy can remember it, why would Abraham forget it? All right? See, it's a little deeper than just somebody being fearful and saying the same thing again to another land, to another king. This is, there's more to this in my opinion. Okay, but on we go. And he said concerning his wife, she is my sister, for such is the manner of doing when he cometh to dwell in the land in which he is a stranger. 21. And Pharaoh sent and took this woman for a wife, and the Lord brought upon him grievous plagues, until he returned the woman to her husband. 22. Now therefore, O sovereign king, know that what happened yesternight to the whole land, for there was a very great consternation and great pain and lamentation, and we know that it was on account of the woman which thou didst take. Now therefore restore this woman to her husband, lest it should befall us as it did to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his subjects, and that we may not die. And Abimelech hastened and called, and had Sarah called for, and she came before him, and he had Abraham called for, and he came before him. And Abimelech said to them in 24, What is this work you have been doing in saying you are brother and sister? And I took this woman for a wife. Question mark. 25. And Abraham said, Because I thought I should suffer death on account of my wife. And Abimelech took flocks and herds and men servants and maid servants and 1,000 pieces of silver, and he gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah to him. And Abimelech said to Abraham, Behold, the whole land is before thee. Dwell in it wherever thou shalt choose. Period. 27. And Abraham and Sarah his wife went forth from the king's presence with honor and respect, and they dwelt in the land, even in Gerar. 28. And all the inhabitants of the land of the Philistines and the king's servants were still in pain through the plague which the angel had inflicted upon them the whole night on account of Sarah. 29. And Abimelech sent for Abraham, saying, Pray now for thy servants, to the Lord thy God, that he may put away this mortality from amongst us. See how they're getting admonished here. 30, and Abraham prayed on account of Abimelech and his servants, and the Lord heard the prayer of Abraham, and he healed Abimelech and all his subjects. Now in 21, in 21, we have the birth of Isaac. Oh, this really gets good here, folks. Hold on to your hat if you're wearing a hat, or fasten your seatbelt, because this is really going to get deep, 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 deep into the roots of Satanism as we progress here. It's going to show you Satan's power and what all he can do if he's unchecked. It's also a great lesson in the faith and knowledge and understand of Abraham and Sarah and Isaac even. All right, so on we go. In 21, verse 1. And it was at that time, at the end of a year, and 4 months of Abraham's dwelling in the land of the Philistines in Gerar, that God visited Sarah, and the Lord remembered her, and she conceived and bare a son to Abraham. Okay, now think back here at the earlier chapters, where one of the 3 men said, I will visit her. See? And I said that was Christ, and it surely was Christ. And when you go to the Old Testament, you see that the 2 angels went from there, and Jesus Christ didn't go with them. Okay? And notice here that God visited Sarah. All right? Okay. So that's what we're talking about. In 2, Abraham called the name of the son which was born to him, which Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac at 8 days old, as God had commanded Abraham to do unto his seed after him. And Abraham was 100, and Sarah 90 years old, when Isaac was born to them. In 4, and the child grew up, and he was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast upon the day that Isaac was weaned. And Shem and Eber, and all the great people of the land, and Abimelech, king of the Philistines, and his servants, and Philcol, the captain of his host, came to eat and drink and rejoice at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of his son Isaac's being weaned. Also, Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor, his brother, came from Haran, they and all belonging to him, for they greatly rejoiced on hearing that a son had been born to Sarah. 7, and they came to Abraham, and they ate and drank at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of Isaac's being weaned. In 8, and Terah and Nahor rejoiced with Abraham, and they remained with him many days in the land of the Philistines. All right, and we have Serug is going to die here. In 9, at that time, Serug, the son of Reu, died in the 1st year of the birth of Isaac, son of Abraham. And all the days of Serug were 239 years, and he died. Okay, 11. And Ishmael, the son of Abraham, was grown up in those days. He was 14 years old when Sarah bare Isaac to Abraham. And God was with Ishmael, the son of Abraham, and he grew up, and he learned to use the bow and became an archer. Okay, but here we have Ishmael trying to kill Isaac. Ouch. 13. And when Isaac was 5 years old, he was sitting with Ishmael at the door of the tent. And Ishmael came to Isaac and seated himself opposite to him. And he took the bow and drew it, and put the arrow in it, and intended to slay Isaac. And Sarah saw the act which Ishmael desired to do to her son Isaac, and it grieved her exceedingly on account of her son. And she sent for Abraham and said to him, Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for her son shall not be heir with my son, for thus did he seek to do unto him this day. 16. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah, and he rose up early in the morning, and he took 12 loaves and a bottle of water, which he gave to Hagar, and sent her away with her son. And Hagar went with her son to the wilderness. And they dwelt in the wilderness of Paran with the inhabitants of the wilderness. And Ishmael was an archer, and he dwelt in the wilderness a long time. 17. And he and his mother afterward went to the land of Egypt, and they dwelt there. And Hagar took a wife for her son from Egypt, and her name was Meribah. 18. And the wife of Ishmael conceived and bare 4 sons and 2 daughters. And Ishmael and his mother and his wife and children afterward went and returned to the wilderness. 19. And they made themselves tents in the wilderness in which they dwelt, and they continued to travel, and then to rest monthly and yearly. And God gave Ishmael flocks and herds and tents on account of Abraham his father, and the man increased in cattle. 21. And Ishmael dwelt in deserts and in tents, traveling and resting for a long time. And he did not see the face of his father. 22. And some time after, Abraham said to Sarah his wife, I will go and see my son Ishmael, for I have a desire to see him, for I have not seen him for a long time. And Abraham rode upon one of his camels to the wilderness to seek his son Ishmael, for he heard that he was dwelling in a tent in the wilderness with all belonging to him. And Abraham went to the wilderness, and he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon, and he asked after Ishmael, and he found the wife of Ishmael sitting in the tent with her children, and Ishmael, her husband, and his mother were not with them. 25. And Abraham asked the wife of Ishmael, saying, Where has Ishmael gone? And she said, He has gone to the field to hunt. And Abraham was still mounted upon the camel, for he would not get off to the ground, as he had sworn to his wife Sarah that he would not get off from the camel. All right, now folks, notice how he keeps his word. The Lord loves people that keep their word. The words do not fall to the ground, and they are not forgot. He keeps his word. Always keeps his covenant. 26, and Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, "My daughter, give me a little water that I may drink, for I am fatigued from the journey." 27, and Ishmael's wife answered and said to Abraham, "We have neither water nor bread." And she continued sitting in the tent and did not notice Abraham, neither did she ask him who he was. But she was beating her children in the tent, and she was cursing them. And she also cursed her husband Ishmael, and reproached him. And Abraham heard the words of Ishmael's wife to her children, and he was very angry and displeased. Well, that's a good wife there, that Egyptian wife, isn't it? Notice the cursing, notice the beating of the children. Doesn't say the children did anything wrong. Cursing her husband, cursing her children. Wow. She's a real jewel, ain't she? But anyway, and Abraham knows that. And Abraham called to the woman to come out to him from the tent. And the woman came and stood opposite to Abraham, for Abraham was still mounted upon the camel. And Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, "When thy husband Ishmael returneth home, say these words to him." 31. A very old man from the land of the Philistines came hither to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and figure. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing thou was not here, he spoke unto me and said, "When Ishmael thy husband returneth, tell him, thus did this man say, When thou comest home, put away this nail of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail in its stead." 32, and Abraham finished his instructions to the woman, and he turned and went off on the camel homeward. And after that, Ishmael came from the chase, he and his mother, and returned to the tent, and his wife spoke these words to him. 34. 34, folks. A very old man from the land of the Philistines came to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and figure. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing thou was not at home, he said to me, "When thy husband cometh home, tell him, Thus saith the old man, Put away the nail of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail in its stead." 35, and Ishmael heard the words of his wife, and he knew that it was his father, and that his wife did not honor him. And Ishmael understood his father's words that he had spoken to his wife, And Ishmael hearkened to the voice of his father, and Ishmael cast off that woman, and she went away. And Ishmael afterward went to the land of Canaan, and he took another wife, and he brought her to his tent, to the place where he then dwelt. 38, and at the end of 3 years Abraham said, I will go again and see Ishmael, my son, for I have not seen him for a long time. 39, and he rode upon his camel and went to the wilderness, and he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon. And he asked after Ishmael, and his wife came out of the tent, and she said, He is not here, my lord, for he has gone to hunt in the fields and to feed the camels. And the woman said to Abraham, Turn in, my lord, into the tent, and eat a morsel of bread, for thy soul must be wearied on account of the journey. 41, and Abraham said to her, I will not stop, for I am in haste to continue my journey. But give me a little water to drink, for I have thirst. And the woman hastened and ran into the tent, and brought out water and bread to Abraham. And she placed before him, which she placed before him, and she urged him to eat. And he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted, and he blessed his son Ishmael. 42, and he finished his meal, and he blessed the Lord. And he said to Ishmael's wife, When Ishmael cometh home, say these words to him, A very old man from the land of the Philistines came hither and asked after thee, and thou wast not here. And I brought him out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. 44. And he spoke these words to me, When Ishmael thy husband cometh home, say unto him, The nail of the tent which thou hast is very good. Do not put it away from the tent. 45, and Abraham finished commanding the woman, and he rode off to his home, to the land of the Philistines. And when Ishmael came to his tent, his wife went forth to meet him with joy and a cheerful heart. 46, and she said to him, An old man came here from the land of the Philistines, and thus was his appearance. And he asked after thee, and thou wast not here. So I brought out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. 47, and he spoke these words to me, When Ishmael thy husband cometh home, say to him, The nail of the tent which thou hast is very good. Do not put it away from thy tent, from the tent. 48, and Ishmael knew that it was his father, and that his wife had honored him, and the Lord blessed Ishmael. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get this up for everybody. So we can keep going here and all this. And so we appreciate you studying. Bye-bye.